Behold, trapped in a hellscape of their own invention, socially unaware old white men bound by the pretense of being fake lawyers yet knowing no law, no exquisite Latin terminology, they are inexplicably compelled to quibble over minutia, squabble over triflings, and bicker like those who value their backyards far too highly without even knowing the difference between an easement and an alleyway. At this very moment, you have entered the heart of the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. Let's get started.
Welcome to another edition of the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker on this August 18th, 2021. Brendan is finally over COVID, but he has a 30th anniversary with his wife, so he's still basically flipping us off and not showing up today. So, Brendan, we have things to say to you when you finally return, since you've been gone for a month, for crying out loud, especially... Anyway, we'll get into other issues later. So today we have a very special guest. His name is Joshua Christian Azali. He's a young man based out of Los Angeles, California, who is an actor and model. And he is going to be discussing the things that are going on in his life right now. And he may or may not help us out later with our client. Our newest client is the Sweet Smell of Secession. This is a client that Greg dug up from somewhere. I'm not really sure where, but before we get fully started, we do have a brand new fake sponsor, everybody. So this is the sponsor of our show today. I actually put a little bit of work into it as opposed to making it up off the top of my head. So listen carefully. He seemed fine at first, even though most of his Facebook photos were shirtless. The tips of his hair were frosted. His reflective sunglasses were mysterious when he talked about how he left the police academy because he was too good for them. He only referred to himself by his first name and never a pronoun. You notice he called other men chief, bro, dog, or dude. He shifted attention to his barbed wire tattoos in order to roofie your drink. When you came to, you realized you've been douchebagged. If this could happen to you or someone you know, and you're too unaware to tell a guy's a douchebag because of his large pickup truck, his collection of moisturizers, his gold chains, or his heavily gelled hair, then Douchebag Alert is the product for you. Douchebag Alert is a state-of-the-art sensor fitted within a stylish bracelet. The moment a douchebag speaks to you, the voice of Christopher Walken emanates from the bracelet saying, "This person is a douchebag. Go home and read a book." It is recommended to remove Douchebag Alert prior to family gatherings, as you might be surrounded by douchebags. To prevent product overload, please stay away from fishing derbies, monster truck rallies, and gyms. If Douchebag Alert senses you are the douchebag, your money will be refunded in the form of a Sharper Image gift card. Get Douchebag Alert new from Godco. All right, that is our sponsor for today.
Oh, I'm going to buy that for all my female friends.
Douchebag Alert.
Gift. They need
right,
that.
Greg has been giving me a hard time because I'll generally just come up with a sponsor on the spot, and it's never really anything good. So I was like, today I'll put a little work into it for once.
You redeemed yourself. I like
That's
it.
right.
That's great.
Pre-recorded douchebag alert for all of you. Anyway, enough of that. Onward to our guest is much more important from that ridiculousness. Joshua Christian Azali. What projects are you in the middle of? And tell us exactly what the web series Asian Men, Black Women is all about.
Oh, that series was about just the lifestyle of how it's like to be an Asian man, to be dating in the community of Los Angeles. But I was a supporting character on the show. I was more coping and helping the other character of how he should be approaching it. And I did shoot another episode recently, just 2 weeks ago. So that another episode's going to be coming out. It's just a small thing I've been doing on the side to really.
Do many black women date Asian men? Is that a thing, or is it very rare?
It's very, very rare that I've known of, and it's just this story to be talking about of how it should be normalized and the real life of it, the reality of it, just how it's like, really. Not normalized. That's the wrong term for it. I mean, like how it's really like, you know.
Yeah, humanizing.
So, I suppose, yeah, humanizing.
Well, it's better than demonizing or abnormalizing. Well, you know, I grew up I spent high school in Asia, in the Philippines, and I saw more black men dating Asian women than vice versa, because, you know, there's a lot more Asian women because black men were for the military, so that was how that all worked out. But
well, they were Americans, and they wanted to get with an American GI, probably. So
yeah, not just GIs. They would get with pretty much any American. My brother's got stories. But as a matter of fact, my brother's married to an Asian woman. She's Chinese, but she's Chinese American now. You never know what to talk to her. But her father was like, I think, part of the Chinese embassy back in Washington, D.C. Anyway, that's a different story. And my brother always hates it whenever I talk about him. So, but I'm sure he's not watching this podcast anyway. So forget him anyway. He's got his own things. So Joshua, so from the information that you sent me, you've done bartending and juggling, and you're Uber and Instacart, and
but even more curious is motorcycle with a question mark. It says motorcycle.
Motorcycle riding question mark.
Do you motorcycle or not?
Maybe he's in the sidecar. He doesn't actually get on the motorcycle.
No, I've actually just touched them. I don't really know.
He like breathes them while he walks by. Motorcycle.
Fondles them.
No, I have a Suzuki SV650 2007. It's like a garage built. It doesn't look like what you think.
Wait,
they sell
it. Garage built? You mean like an actual building built it?
Yeah, it did not work. It didn't work. It's sort of something out of I get all the time, like, oh, it's a Mad Max looking bike, or like a Walking Dead looking bike. Like,
you put it together?
Yes. It looks exactly like that. I'm not kidding you. But if I had pictures that I could somehow show, I would.
Sounds cool.
Yeah. It's not. It doesn't look like a Suzuki, and I get all the time like, oh. What bike is that? The Suzuki. Oh.
What is your ancestry? Which branch of Asia are you descended from?
I'm Indonesian, but
okay.
My parents like to say Chinese descent. So it's like, so we come from China to be raised in Indonesia. But I speak Indonesian.
Do they say that because too many Americans don't know what Indonesia is?
No, it's
There's a lot of stupid Americans out there, I'll tell you that. Indonesia, is that like under Asia? Where is that? Look, what does that mean?
It's surprising enough, though, that people do know where Indonesia is because of Bali. That's the #1 tourist spot.
Yeah, but they just know Bali. They don't know Indonesia.
Yeah. That's
and then they'll confuse it with Bollywood. They'll think it's Indian.
I never even thought of that.
Isn't MIA from Indonesia? Isn't it? Wasn't it? Is that where the Tamil tigers are from? Or am I thinking of another?
No, the Tamil tigers are from Sri Lanka.
Oh, sorry. Never mind.
Yeah.
Let's move on, please.
It's a good thing I know something that I can answer these questions.
Yeah.
But were you raised Muslim? Because I know that's primarily a Muslim country, Indonesia.
Yes, it's the most populated, and you would think that. I'm blanking where it comes from, but it's very popular.
Most Muslims are in Australia.
Is that right?
That's right. That's where it originated. Muhammad went to Australia to start the religion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, many people don't know that.
Preached to the kangaroos.
But no, I'm actually.
He rode a boomerang to Mecca, and many people don't know that part of the story. And I apologize to any Muslims who are listening right now for
the Quran
being
Apocrypha
very
have access to.
It's the Quran Apocrypha. That's what we're reading from. Muhammad flew on a boomerang. Anyway. So sorry, Joshua. We get distracted sometimes.
No, I love it. It's just side banter. It's amazing.
So you grew up in Indonesia?
No, I was born here. My parents are born there. Yes.
But he's of Chinese descent.
Yes.
Which means they came down from the mountain to Indonesia.
Yes.
Where when they were Chinese, they descended. I don't know what's going wrong with me. I think it all started off wrong with the douchebag alert, and I think Christopher Walken's talking to me right now. So
you're the douchebag, Matt.
I think I am.
Gift card.
Well. So, Joshua, what are you promoting about yourself? So there's got to be a reason why you're getting yourself booked onto podcasts. So there's something that you must have in the cards or something that you want more known about you that we're currently avoiding.
Well, I'm just trying to get myself out there. I'm looking for acting work or even modeling work, too. Just letting people know that, I'm a real human being looking for work, you know.
It's good to know that you're not a robot.
Yeah, exactly. Or an alien or a lizard. I don't know.
Well, you know, we've talked about lizard people before on our show, and I think our co-host could have gotten into that the one who's missing could have discussed the lizard people.
So could you tell us about your modeling gig for ties, whatever ties is?
So you model ties,
ties?
You just like wear ties?
I did model for ties I did that just.
Is that name of a company or just ties in general you're modeling?
It was a very avant-garde looking tie. It's not like just a typical business tie. It's called cis ties. It looked like a flurry sort of European looking thing. And they just wanted me to walk around with it and with other models too, like, wow, wearing ties, you know.
So the name of the company was Cis Ties?
Yes.
Is that CIS?
Yes. No, SIS. No. Cis ties. No.
It's like,
they changed their gender, these ties.
Gender normative ties.
Did they make sure you had did they look at your neck really carefully? Like, if you're going to model ties, you've got to have a great neck. Did they care about that?
No, it's not about the neck part. It had a really big flare to it from here. It wasn't like a straight tie. Like, kind of like a Parisian looking thing, you know?
Like something like a pirate would wear? Or?
Kind of.
Like Fatty Arbuckle would wear in the 1920s. It's like one of those little flappy ties.
Yeah.
Smelling good about the hair.
It was an interesting thing at the time.
Did they make you wear derbies too?
Oh no! I wish I would have looked good. too much hair, you know.
So if you're promoting yourself for getting acting work, you're definitely not going to get it for being on our show. But
you might.
But what do you normally do whenever you're trying to get an actor? I mean, how do you go about? What's the process for you? Who do you talk to? Are you being managed, or you just kind of like walking into random offices and going, I want some work, and they're like, no, we sell burgers here, get out.
You know, I wish I could do that. I mean, but I think they'll remember me in the wrong ways. But I do have an agency and manager. They submit me and stuff. I submit myself too. Mm-hmm. I have an Actors Access and a website being built, sort of promoting myself in that manner. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You find that you get typecast because of your Asian American? Like, is it like annoying that just certain kind of roles get offered?
Yeah, he's not getting any roles for black women, Greg.
Well, that's annoying.
It can be. I mean, like, he really wanted that part that Whoopi Goldberg played in Color Purple.
He's an actor. He can do that. Actors can act. Sure, if you give Joshua the opportunity, he could be a black woman in the movie.
It's not. No, I don't really get typecast that as much as I think. It's just because my hair. It makes me less Asian, I think. I don't know. It's a very specific look. So I was just auditioning for a hair product commercial too. So this is gonna be a callback next week.
So what would you
have really nice hair, by the way.
I was gonna say, what would you categorize this look as? What would you say the name of it is?
Sexy Indonesian.
Sexy Indonesian.
Like Kung Fu villain.
Sure, maybe.
Yeah, I can see that.
I do have a couple of my headshots geared towards being an ominous looking character, villainous sort of gangster also. Yeah.
Will you give us your ominous look? Give us your badass look, like you're a bad guy.
I just want to have a good time. I don't know. I don't want to be doing that right
now. I'll give you mine. This is my bad guy look.
Greg, that can't be. We're doing a podcast, Greg. So yeah, those go on YouTube, but people can't see it if they're listening to the show.
Yeah, well, that'll.
For example, you don't really watch it on YouTube. You only listen to it through podcast platforms. So how should we have described what you just did with your face? You did a little bulldog look. You jutted out your lower jaw.
An anus right before it poops.
Right before it. It's like before the turtle head. Is that what you're saying?
Before the turtle head.
I could put my tongue out right now and be really good.
Hey, when did that tooth go missing, Greg?
Since when I was 14 or something.
You've been missing the tooth since you were 14?
Yeah, my dad was a dentist, no less. I should have sued him for malpractice.
Oh yeah,
He
sue
told
your
my-
own dad. Why not?
That
My
doesn't
dad
make.
told-
Why didn't your dad ever replace your tooth?
No, my dad did it. My dad pulled it out. He said, "Oh, a tooth's coming in. The X-ray says we have to pull this out," and it never came in. So I've had this, and then I had a replacement tooth for a while, but it was just annoying. And then it finally fell out, and I said, "I don't want another one." It was just my tongue would always play with it. It was never perfect.
Ah, okay.
So I don't care.
Maybe you just get like a kernel of corn and stick it up in there.
Yeah, I tried that. Everything.
Like with some super glue. That would probably hold it.
Yeah, cotton ball, anything.
Right.
Candy corn.
Actually, if you get like a cotton ball and varnish it and then sand it, then you would probably have the right color for your tooth to put in there.
Sand a cotton ball.
Well, after you have to varnish it first.
Okay.
You varnish the cotton ball and then you can sand it down. You can't just sand a cotton ball before you put something
I should
on
just
it.
get some gold. I should get a gold tooth.
You could do that. Joshua, do you have anything you want to say about his missing tooth at all?
Well, you know how to fix people's teeth. I would assume because you know about the sanding and the.
What would
Joshua,
you say was?
Oh.
Go ahead, Greg.
Well, I was going to say, who are your acting idols? Who are like the actors that you'd like to emulate and maybe follow in their footsteps?
Tom Hardy is one of them.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah. William Dafoe's another good one. Very
I was
versatile.
just watching The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou yesterday, and I'd totally
Oh.
forgotten that Willem Dafoe was in that.
Me too. I forgot too.
He plays like this German character who's like awestruck by Bill Murray in it, and it's totally a different role than you normally see Willem Dafoe play, because Willem Dafoe is usually like a villain or some kind of scary type character, and in this case he was like this weenie German guy who was just always looking for Bill Murray's approval.
I remember that guy now. He was great in that. He was so good.
And then he had like the fake German accent too. I was like, oh, okay, this is funnier than I remember it being.
What's your favorite Tom Hardy role?
I liked him in it was one of his very first ones. He played like a crazy convict. Well, that's like practically every role now. But
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I've seen this movie.
he got naked. He got naked in one of his scenes. You know what I'm talking
Is that
about?
Bronson? Is it? Is it
Bronson,
called Bronson?
yes, Bronson.
Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah.
That's a great movie. Oh,
I
it's
saw
so
that
good.
one. I did like his TV show. It was Taboo. It only ran for like I think 2 seasons and then it disappeared. But that was a really interesting show. I was expecting it to continue on. It was very unusual. Greg's looking like you don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I'm amazed. I'm going to watch this immediately. I love Tom Hardy. I don't know if you've ever seen Peaky Blinders, Joshua, the gangster show about.
I've seen that. Is he in that?
I didn't know either. He's that Hasidic mafia guy, the Jewish guy with the tassels. He's the Hasidic gangster. And I watched it for a full year, thought this character is amazing. And I found out it was Tom Hardy. And I was like, no, that's what a good actor he is. He totally immerses himself.
Yeah, he's like he portrays anyone he needs to be. He's not very
He's a chameleon. Yeah,
that's
amazing.
what
So
I
he's
look
like
for.
literally a lizard, is what you're saying, Greg? Like
A
so he's
lizard.
one of the lizard people.
Get away from your QAnon website, Matt, for a second. This is a QAnon
You called him a
podcast.
lizard. Oh, you called him a chameleon. All right.
It's a
well,
chameleon, a karma chameleon. So, is that the kind of actor you'd like to be? Like, would you like to be more of a character actor? Like, really get into the roles? Like, different characters?
Yeah. I don't want to be just the action or just the comedy.
Yeah.
That's a good term for a character actor. I never really found what that is. Is that what they call it? Right?
That's a term. Yeah. I didn't make
Character
it up.
actor.
It's basically if you're not a leading man, you're basically a character actor. But some leading men wind up becoming character actors and vice versa. But many people have very long, storied careers as character actors. They're the ones that you look at it and you go, oh, yeah, it's that guy. What's his name? Hey, can't remember.
Yeah, that's another name for him, Joshua. That guy.
There's actually there's a documentary out there. I think it's called That Guy.
I think
where they talk about all of these guys that you see, and the women as well, that you see in roles over and over and over again, but they never have the leading role. And it's usually a smaller part, but they're just really good at what they do, that they're hired all the time. You know. it's kind of like last week when we had Michael Stein on and we were talking about his movie Love Hollywood Style, and in that movie he had so many different character actors that had been so many different things. I was really surprised that it had done that well. But not done that well in terms of a movie. As a movie, it sucked. But in terms of getting that many good actors in a movie, that still wound up sucking. That was the amazing part about it. So, I think right now there's a lot of new openings for Asian Americans in the film business. Have you been getting a lot more calls because of that, or you just haven't got your foot fully in the door yet?
It's more of the latter. I haven't really got my foot into the door yet. I know it's a great opportunity to be doing it right now. It's not because I started because of that. I wanted to do it previously. I've been studying theater for 4 years, way before it became at its height for having Asian Americans being in roles such as, Crazy Rich Asians. Nora from Queens is a good one too.
Right. Well, plus like that movie that's about to come out next year with from Marvel.
Shang-Chi. Yeah.
So I'm like, why aren't you in that movie?
Oh, I think I need to. I don't. Maybe the hair.
Like I said, you would make a good. I was thinking like you should be in that movie, or at least in a sequel as one of the villains, or at least a henchman.
I had the other time. I was just going around the groceries, had in a ponytail. Some guy comes up to me like, "Whoa, you look like a Mortal Kombat guy."
There you go.
Thank you.
It's like Mortal Kombat's getting a resurgence.
I don't know if you've ever seen Warrior, the HBO Cinemax show, which takes place in like the Chinatown of San Francisco, like 1880s. And
1880s.
They had 2 seasons. They canceled it, but then they re-showed it on HBO Max the last year, and it's been phenomenal response. So they're going to have a 3rd season.
Oh, I have to watch that. I've been running out of shows.
Me too. So I want to watch that. Warriors.
Great martial arts in there. It's called Warrior. And
1880s too. Isn't that like
so
cowboys?
Yeah, it's kind of like, but I mean, they're in San Francisco, so it's not like cowboy, but it's those.
Well, I think you said it's a martial arts type show.
Well, but it's also like talking about how like shitty the Chinese were treated when they came over. I mean, they were basically like almost slaves, and so a few of these guys are really good at martial arts, and they kick the shit out of the guy Jin.
So it takes place about 10 or 20 years before the Boxer Rebellion, and then.
Well, that's irrelevant. These guys they were in America.
Well, I understand, but they were Chinese, and they could have been raised with that culture. The Boxer Rebellion obviously was people who didn't have weapons who were fighting in China. Yeah.
I'm just saying, most of the people in Warrior don't know martial arts. Most of the Chinese are just like, we're getting
They're normal people. It's just like Italian people aren't all in the mafia. I get it.
Yeah, well, I am. I'm not going to talk about that. El Muerta.
So, Joshua, do you actually know any martial arts?
I've done some stage combat in my theater, but not personally like kung fu or.
Well, you should be able to still get away with it. I think Jackie Chan actually didn't know any kung fu. He just staged it all for the movies. He learned it all in the movies.
True?
No way.
I don't know if it's true. I said I think.
That can't be true. He's so good.
He got his start in the opera, right?
Oh, Chinese opera.
Right. And so you have a lot of choreographed moves in that particular milieu, and I think he just wound up branching out into movies from there. But I could be making this whole thing up too. I think I get most of my facts from cereal boxes, so I don't know.
Well, you get them from the internet, man.
I need to call up Donald Trump and find out what the truth is. Only he has the real news. Douchebag alert. All right, so I think I might just start interjecting that in episodes to come, Greg. So Joshua, what else should aspire, or what should directors or casting people know about you, so they go, this Joshua guy, I want to hire him for the thing we've got going on. How can we help you, Joshua?
I might be able to ride a motorcycle in a scene, maybe, perhaps.
I have a garage motorcycle.
Essentially, I take my work seriously. I put circumstances into the character, real life, where it's really building a real life person into the screen and stage. And what I could get help is just looking for work. Let's just be creative, and just do something.
So you got through doing theater school for 4 years. I think you went to Stella Adler, right?
Yes.
Is she still alive?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so. So did you have any notable acting coaches when you were going to school there?
I've had one great one named Christopher Thornton. He was a great one. I've had Rick Peters also. Laura Leiva's another one.
Have any of them been in anything?
Christopher Thornton's on Hawaii 5-0. Was it that?
Wow.
He's a
Like the new version of Hawaii 5-0?
Yes, he was the he's on the wheelchair one. That's him.
He actually played a wheelchair.
No, he's actually a disabled actor. He's actually
gotcha.
He's and he also plays as a wheelchair person on the show.
Okay, a wheelchair person, because that's the normal phrase that they're called.
I know. I don't know. Oh my goodness! Yeah, it just What?
This parking spot is wheelchair person accessible.
I can't believe that really came off my mind like that. I'm just realizing it now. Like, there's a name for that.
It's called cyborg, part human, part wheelchair.
So Joshua, I'm just curious if somehow acting, heaven forbid, it doesn't work out. Is there what other things would you be happy doing? Like does other interests you have?
Sorry, please finish.
No, I was pretty much done. Okay.
I came back from a medical background. I have a degree in kinesiology. I was going to go to physical therapy and all of that.
Oh.
And I was like, I don't like it. Go to theater school. And here I am.
But I'm saying, though, is there anything else you'd like to do?
Well, hold on a second. I want to back up to the kinesiology thing. So that wasn't part of your bio. You should actually have that when you're putting that in for roles, that you know kinesiology, because they might need a part of somebody acting as a physical therapist or something along those lines.
That is a good idea. I mean,
if you have training in that area, that's a very specialized training. That's very niche, and
or the director might want to neck rub in between shots. They'd be like,
right. Or they want to get somebody like extricated from a wheelchair because nobody can tell the difference between them and the wheelchair. And they could take them out of it. So that could be very important to this work. He could give neck rubs and help people out of a wheelchair. Anyway, so this is, I think, a good opportunity for us to move into discussing our client. Now, you could stick around for our client, Joshua. It's the Sweet Smell of Secession. And this is a client that Greg came up with. But if you want, you can be a fake attorney, which is essentially just joining in because you said that you are limited on time.
The topic is basically the client, if you will.
The client is the topic.
The client is the topic. Is basically like in the past 2 years, we've heard a lot of talk of states basically acting, on their own because they're just like, fuck the federal government. We're doing this. And it seems to be more of a prevalent thing where certain states are talking about, like, we don't have to listen to the government. We might secede.
They're going to become their own countries is basically the idea. So at this point, you have the option where you could plug your Instagram page or your Facebook page or something along those lines or something else that you're promoting and then continue with us, or go, I got to leave. So the ball is now in your court, Joshua.
No. All right. So my Instagram is j.c.azali. That's geared towards modeling. I do have a website being built right now. It's joshuachristianazali.com.
He's very good looking, people who are listening on podcasts. So
I'm all right. I don't know. What do I know?
He's not a wheelchair person.
Wheelchair. I'm never gonna give that up. Thinking about why did I call my teacher a wheelchair person?
We know what his quibble is gonna be, Matt, next year.
Anyways, though, I have my IMDb also. It should easily find me, relatively easy. I like to believe, and my full name, and my Facebook, and Yeah, this is all the information I have. All my
Okay.
contact. Yeah.
Great. Well, feel free to stick around if you want or not. Greg, take us to our client.
All right.
The Sweet Smell of Secession.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Joshua.
Bye, Joshua.
Good luck in all your endeavors.
You too.
Nice
You too.
meeting you.
It's great. It's great being with you guys.
Stay away from the motorcycle people. Okay.
So I think basically it's because of just Trump being such a bad president. We've seen in the past 4 years, definitely 2 years, states actually acting unilaterally and just saying, like, for example, you might know about this. California.
Tell me about this example.
Their governor, I can't remember his name, kind of liberal guy. And he was like, okay.
His name is Gavin Newsom.
Thank you. Gavin Newsom.
And there's like, a recall thing going on trying to get him out of office.
Every year in California, there's a recall. This happens every year. It's like the changing of the seasons.
Plus it had to do with like how he was handling the whole pandemic thing. Many people were upset.
Yeah, they call it the electoral equinox there, but it's
the electoral equinox.
But they were basically like, we need this certain like satellites to help us out, and they were like, we're going to start our own space program. We have the money. California. This is another thing I always thought about. You probably know about this, but California, if they were their own country, would have the 7th or 6th largest economy in the world. It changes every year.
I think France they're like the 5th, actually.
I always heard it was 6 and 7 between them and France, and it changes every year.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, they drive America's economy. I mean, if we lost California, we'd be fucked. And the agriculture, everything. So, I don't know. I've been thinking about this actually since I was a kid. I always just thought it was a goofy science fiction idea. Like, what if every state was its own country? And like, how would that work out? Who would fight each other? Who would make alliances?
Well, when the Civil War happened and when the states seceded, that was what they did was an illegal act, right? It actually goes against the Constitution. The Constitution gives allowances for states to join the United States, but there is no information, there's no laws which say it's okay to leave the United
totally
States.
Legal.
Right, but I'm saying specifically, it's a very specific thing. It's been like stated by the Supreme Court. It comes from even the Pledge of Allegiance, which is not constitutional, but one country, indivisible. Right?
Yeah.
So whenever you try to change that, you're going to basically have the federal government come in and go, sorry, you cannot leave.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, because there was a thing in Texas not that long ago where they were trying to once again secede. But there is a thing, whenever Texas was annexed, I was reading this today, it was actually quite fascinating. Texas has the option of actually breaking up into 5 states if it wants to. It has the okay from the treaty that was signed.
They're the only. They're the only state because they were a nation.
They were a nation, but they could have been one state where they can still. So, in other words, if there's a section of Texas that didn't really want to be part of the United States anymore, they could actually break Texas into parts and create their own states. As many as 5, no more than 5, but as many.
So
as
they
5.
Could secede. A chunk of
They
Texas.
couldn't really secede. They could only really secede from Texas. Or they would just be they couldn't get away from the United States.
Okay.
They'd still be part. I mean, they could try to, but that would take a lot of pellet guns to make that happen.
I wonder if that's what North Dakota did. They were like, we're tired of the South Dakota.
They got a lot of pellet guns?
No, they said we're seceding from South Dakota and we're making North Dakota. Maybe that's
it comes down to politics. That's that's what happened in Virginia. I mean, because West Virginia was once part of Virginia, and then they broke apart because of the Civil War. West Virginia went with the North, and the rest of Virginia went with the South.
Yeah.
So, but you
West
and I.
Virginia,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, because West Virginia is known for being so woke and liberal.
Well, back then, John Brown was the woke one.
Oh, he was from West Virginia?
Yeah, that whole thing had to do with West Virginia.
Yeah, he was on the side of the
place in like Harper's Ferry.
He was nuts, though.
Totally nuts.
But he was on the right side, though.
Too much time in the coal mines, man.
Yeah, that coal dust is like cocaine. It's like meth. Fuck yeah.
Oh, is it? It's like meth, coal. Hear that, everybody? Go smoke some coal.
I was a coal miner
Just like
for a
meth.
while. I'll tell you.
Wait, you were a coal miner?
Yeah.
All right, tell me the story, Greg.
I was a coal miner's daughter too before that, and then I became a coal miner, and man, those fumes.
So first you were a coal miner's daughter, even though your father's a dentist. So that means your mother was the coal miner.
And even though I'm a cisgendered male, that doesn't bother you. That's the only.
No, that part I can totally believe. But your mother, you're saying, is basically the coal miner because your father was the dentist. And
yeah, my mom was the best coal miner in upstate New York. She
really?
Was good.
Yeah. What did she teach you about coal mining?
It's a good high, son. It's worth the low pay and the dangerous work because every day you're buzzed. It's like getting free drugs from the coal dust. My mom loved it.
So how does the canary fit into all this?
They're high as fuck, those canaries. They're loving life. They're like every day they're getting free buzzes.
Are they
until they die?
Right.
They die.
Yeah. Do you know why the canaries die, though? Right.
Yeah, because they basically get too high and they can't take it anymore. Yeah, it's a nice way to die. They're very happy.
So what's the procedure? So you're down in the coal mine, and the canary's there as this warning bird. Yeah. So what's the procedure when you see the canary die? What do you do first? Do you smoke the canary to get a bigger high?
No, I just huff harder. I'm like, oh, there's some good fumes here because the canaries are small. I'll live. I'll just get really high.
Yeah. Even though you're low because you're underground.
Yeah, but I mean
so you're high and low at the same time.
It's just like if I took a line of Coke, I'd feel great. But if
when we say Coke, do you mean charcoal type Coke?
Yes.
Okay.
Because that's wicked cool too. But if a mouse took that, he would die.
Is it wicked smooth?
Yeah, it's wicked smooth. Hey Sherry, I still love you. Where are you? But yeah, it's a mouse can't take it. A canary can't take it. So I figure it's still
a mouse can't. How did a mouse get involved?
I don't know. There's a mouse in a coal mine somewhere. They couldn't find a canary.
There's a mouse in a coal mine. Somewhere in this world, there's a mouse lost in a coal mine.
In a world where coal mines have mice instead of canaries. One coal miner gets
one
really
coal micer. One coal mouser. A mouse brings up little tiny bags of coal.
So I think we have to talk about, because our good friend recently moved to Hawaii, and that's a totally different bag of fish there. Is that
well, they have different kinds of fish in Hawaii than here.
No, but
like here we have salmon, whereas there they don't really have salmon in Hawaii.
Oh no, it's a kettle of fish. It's a bag of mice. So it's a kettle of fish over there. It's because they were a sovereign nation that we conquered, basically, and took over and said, you're part of America now. And so there's still some Hawaiians.
Well, you know what? A lot of that took place because of Spain, though, right? A lot of our territories, because we have like 14 territories. Some of them are actually unpopulated.
No, but Hawaii, we made a state, though, and we gave them all the, advantages.
Accoutrement.
They have 2 senators. They have representatives. I mean, the other territories don't.
No, it's true. They don't. Well, it's because they're territories. They're not states.
But Hawaii, like
Alaska was once a territory, and then it became a state.
Yeah, but we didn't it was just a territory. We bought it fair and square. But Hawaii, we conquered. They had a sovereign king and queen, and we, sent some gunships over and said, you're not the king and queen anymore.
I believe we bought the Philippines, too, around the same time.
We bought them? I thought we just won them in the Spanish-American War.
Well, no, I think part of the treaty was we would pay Spain $20 million for the Philippines.
Even though we kicked their ass, we still were paying them? That's ridiculous.
Well, I think it was part of the treaty, so there wouldn't be any fighting anymore, that we could just take it over.
Yeah.
But that makes it interesting. It's so the Philippines were once a territory. So why do some places, like Cuba was once our territory?
Well, right? Guantanamo Bay still is. That is
right, but I'm talking about the entire country, though, was at one point a territory of the United States. So some places stop being territories, whereas some continue to be territories, and
I don't know if Cuba ever was a territory. we just ran it because of the corporations, the fruit companies. I don't think we ever owned Cuba, literally, like on paper, but we ran shit down there. Our corporate interests and also the mafia later on.
Yeah, well, that was much later, you know. I mean, because I think Cuba came under our control back in the late 1800s as well.
Okay.
Like when Hawaii came under our control.
I should know this since I'm a quarter Cuban.
Well, you should know a quarter of it at least. So
I
you
think I
did. You
did.
knew about Guantanamo Bay, so that gives you like your quarter edge
Yeah,
on knowing something
like
about.
1/1000th of Cuba.
But I thought it was interesting what the different U.S. territories are. Do you think you can name them all, Greg?
Guam,
The 14.
Philippines, Narnia.
Philippines is no longer part of our territories. It's a sovereign nation of its own.
They kind of are, though. They have all our military bases forever.
No, those got closed down.
Really? There's no military bases?
As far as I know, I mean, maybe there's a couple left, but most of them got shut down.
They said Yankee go home?
Well, it was just the U.S. decided to pull out.
Yeah.
They decided Guam, they didn't want to get the Philippines pregnant anymore. So yes, Guam. You've said Guam a couple of times. Saying it more than once does not tell us the rest of them, though.
No, but you're not listening. You were talking about Philippines, so I didn't know if you heard me. So, isn't there like U.S. Guyana in South America?
It's French Guyana.
I know, but I thought that we owned a chunk of Guyana. No.
No.
What else do we owe? The Sandwich Islands.
No.
Narnia.
Narnia is not an American territory.
Monster Island, where King Kong lives.
Did you forget about Puerto Rico?
Oh yeah, Puerto Rico.
That's like the largest. That's the largest of our territories.
So that's the same as Guam as far as their status. Okay.
Yes.
Skull Island.
Skull Island. That's right. He-Man and the Masters of the U.S. House of Representatives.
Australia.
Right. Australia definitely belongs to this. Can we just tell you what they are, Greg?
Yeah, please. I'm
surprised. Idea. Like some of them are like ones you'll definitely know. I mean, most of them you won't, but some of them you should know. So Puerto Rico, Guam, the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Oh yeah.
I think those are the ones you're probably thinking of before. The Northern Mariana Islands, which are like somewhere around, I think, Australia. American Samoa, and you have various different atolls like the Midway Atoll and Palmyra Atoll, Johnston Atoll. And then various islands. We have Baker Island, Howland Island, Jarvis Island, Wake Island, and Navassa Island.
And all of those
finally, our final territory is Kingman Reef. So we have a territory that's a reef, which is...
So it's just a bunch of coral sticking out of the ocean.
I think so, yes.
You know, I never heard of those other ones because those places are just full of mutants, and because we just did A-bomb testing.
Well, you've heard of Midway, right?
Yeah, from the war battle, but I'm sure we did nuclear tests there in the 50s.
We may, well, I think those were done in the Bikini Island.
Bikini. Yeah, Bikini Atoll.
Which is like somewhere, I think, off the coast of South America, Ecuador side.
I think we did them everywhere.
Or that's the
we did them in the American Southwest. We did nuclear tests. We probably did them on all those islands.
We did them in Portland, Oregon, just recently. And I'm sure you've heard of Wake Island, right? Because that was another World War II battle.
Yeah. I've heard of Wake.
Yeah. You're doing yeah a lot today. It's like a double yeah.
Yeah. Listen up, buddy. So the Wake Island is the one island where there was that one Japanese soldier 20 years later still thought the war was going on. They found him in the jungle.
That was the one?
No, I just made it up. It could have been.
I'm like,
but
was that ever true? I didn't know that was true.
Yeah, I think it was a true story, but it almost sounds like an urban legend. But apparently there was some soldier lost in the jungle. And like, it wasn't 20 years later, but like 10 years later, 55, he was still out in the jungle thinking, oh, World War II still going on. There's some Americans. I'm going to kill them.
Yeah, that'd be like a really stupid soldier. Thinking that a war would go on for 50 years.
And then nobody
or even
would
20.
have seen any evidence.
What wars, other than like the 100 Years' War, what modern wars have gone on longer than 10 years?
Well, us in
other than the war
Afghanistan
on drugs.
And Iraq.
Yeah, but that wasn't a war, though. That was just an occupation, is what that was.
I'm sure when you're over there, it feels
that
like
was us making Afghanistan a territory, basically, is what that was.
Yeah.
And we never got the oil that we were supposed to get, I think, either. So that was Iraq. Iraq we were
That
supposed
was
to get the oil
Iraq.
from. Afghanistan has basically sand dunes and rebels, I think is what Afghanistan
Yeah.
has. But you've been hearing about us pulling out of there, right? Out of Afghanistan?
I rarely check the news, and I recently saw, and I was like so happy.
And the Taliban is being very cooperative?
Yeesh, I know that's not true. I know
Well,
what's going on.
it's been 20 years.
No, I heard they took over.
I know, but I'm saying, but it's been 20 years since 9/11. So in 2 decades, even the Taliban can have diplomacy in place, where they can like work with other people, even if they are a
Really?
theocracy. Yeah, I mean, even Iran has diplomacy in place, even though they do a lot of terroristic bullshit. You know. And the fact is like both of those countries, are worshiping a guy who flew there on a boomerang from Australia. So,
So they have their
if
broad.
only they knew.
They could think outside the box. If they could believe that. But I mean, I'm saying like I'm not happy the Taliban's taken over. I mean, they're not good people. They're bad. They're like Handmaid's Tale shit.
It's kind of like the PLO,
No, they're different. They're
Well,
fighting for their country. They're freedom fighters / terrorists, whichever way you want to look at it. But they're
Right.
fighting to get their country back. Taliban, those guys seem like full-on fundamentalist wackos who like they're going to treat all the women like shit, and it's going to be a nightmare to live in.
well, one interview I saw with one of the spokesperson for the Taliban said that he was asked the question, "Are women going to be allowed to continue going to school?"
Yeah,
And he directly said, "Yes." He goes, "The full range of going to school." So it could be a lie. It could be a
I think that's a
lie.
big lie.
Well,
The
maybe it
Taliban are
is. Sometimes change does occur
It does.
within
That would be
movements,
great
even
if it did.
fundamentalist movements.
I'd be
like-
happy if it did.
I mean, because what they did back in 2001 caused so much hardship for their people, even though it was like this great thing taking on the West, but they woke the sleeping giant, and basically we came down on them with like a megaton of bricks.
Matt,
right?
you're misspeaking. It was Al Qaeda who did 9/11.
Yeah, but it was all
Not
connected.
Taliban.
It was all connected with the Taliban.
Eventually, but the Taliban wasn't even anything then. We
No, they
made the
weren't. They were
Taliban
definitely
big.
they were definitely a thing then.
They were something, but they didn't. Al Qaeda did 9/11. They didn't have help from the Taliban, but they're allies, I guess, in a way. They have similar goals.
Well, fine. What does the word Al Qaeda mean anyway?
It means,
Yeah, you're gonna make
Hey.
something up, aren't you?
of course, hey, I know. Al Qaeda it means, hey, where's my sandwich?
I just
In
found out.
Arabic.
Where's my sandwich? It means I just looked it up. It means the base or the foundation.
Oh,
So they are
the
militant
flying boomerang.
militant
Magic.
Sunni Islamists.
Yeah.
So, all right, I guess I had a confusion between Al Qaeda and the Taliban. So, what is the Taliban then?
Well, we kind of strengthened them by like getting rid of Saddam Hussein. That's when the Taliban got big because Saddam Hussein was kind of keeping them down. He was more kind of secular. He was like
He was in
horrible
Iraq
threat.
though.
That's what I'm saying. That's where it got really big because we were, he was a horrible man, right? Horrible dictator, but he was kind of secular and he was always keeping those fundamentalists down and saying whatever. And then we knocked him out, and that's when the Taliban got huge.
Well, the Taliban
There was
held
a
power
vacuum.
over roughly 3/4 of Afghanistan between '96 and 2001. They emerged in '94 as one of the prominent factions in the Afghan Civil War.
Yeah.
So there was like a civil
Yeah,
war.
they've been
back
around for a
then.
while, but they really got big after we started meddling in the Middle East. I mean, that's the way I see it. It seems like they barely did anything, and then we made this big power vacuum there, and they sucked right into it.
Well, maybe there'll be a little bit of change.
Accent on the sucks.
Guess we're going to find out.
Okay,
We're gonna
so if
find out.
America,
But the Taliban would definitely secede from the United States.
so if California secedes from the United States and American troops leave and say, "Okay, you're on your own," who do you think would take over that power vacuum? Who do you think would take over California?
Well, Texas.
Do you think Texas would then secede just so it could take over California?
Are you saying who would attack California? I guess I'm missing.
Who would take over? Just like now
take
that
over
we're
what?
leaving
Take over what?
California.
It would be whatever administrative body decided to secede from the United States would take over California.
I know, but then there'd be like not this federal presence. So would like other forces arise in California, like the Hollywood would take over California and turn it into a giant movie studio?
That would never happen.
Where everyone would be conscripted to act in movies.
It would be all the militias in Bakersfield would take over. Everyone from Redding, California would go, now's our time. Get the stuff out of the bunkers. We're taking over before the fault splits us wide open.
Well, Texas has always wanted to secede, as you've said. And
no, they haven't always wanted to secede because they've wanted to be part of the United States.
I know, but they also love the idea of like, we're Texas. We're a little different. We're special. And
that's a big generality, but yeah, okay.
No, I'm saying a few people. It's not most of them. Most of them are like, that's crazy. I'm not going to be our own country. That's nuts. But I've heard many people say this. It's like, please do get the fuck out of our country, Texas, because most of the crazy laws start there, and they're just a bunch of yahoos. And so it's like, please secede.
It's such a broad generality for that state because that state is huge and has so many residents, people on both sides of the political spectrum.
Yeah, very few in one.
It's really easy. It's really easy to point a finger and call them all Southern yahoos or whatever, but they're not.
A lot of them are.
Many of them are, right. Absolutely. But many of them aren't either. Many of them are rational, decent human beings who just happen to live in an area where there's a lot of dumb fucks.
What if Florida wanted to secede? Would you be like, go ahead?
No, I feel the same way. I feel the same way. Yeah, I mean, political spectrums can always change over time, and they will, and they do. You know, I mean, look at the beginning of the Republican Party and look at it now. You know, Republicans were once liberals. They used to be the liberal party.
They weren't liberals.
In the beginning, they were.
When it came to slavery, that's it. They were conservative business financially. They were all they were always the rich man's party.
Not always, no.
That's why they didn't like slavery, because slavery was bad for industrialization. It's better to pay people nothing and have people working in your factories. Slavery wasn't as productive, as profitable. It was an outmoded system.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they have to stop the South from having it.
Well, there was other forces came in to influence them and said, this is immoral. But they didn't like it.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know. You have interesting facts that come out of your history books.
They're not facts, they're opinions.
Okay.
From reading a lot of history and forgetting it. And now I'm drunk. So
and then like shifting it all into some new melange. New melange of Gregness.
Decades and alcohol, and it's all filtering through that.
Before we end off, though, I think you should let everybody know about your own personal podcast that you're running these days. In case everybody doesn't know, Greg has his very own solo podcast.
Which I don't want anyone to hear.
And well, you know, some people might like you, Greg. They may like.
It's my own therapy.
Because we don't get any feedback, so we don't know if anybody likes me or you or Brendan more than anybody else. None of us is getting any fan mail.
Everyone likes Brendan the most. He's the Fonzie. Brendan's the Fonzie.
All right, and from your point of view, he is. So
I'm Patsy, and you're Ralph Malph.
I refuse to accede to your Happy Day references. I will not.
You're Laverne, and
I will not be part. I will not be part.
You're Lenny, and I'm Squeaky.
Of your generalizations and trying to lump us into bad sitcom characters. Anyway, so what is the name of your podcast, Greg?
It's called the Fantasy Comic Book Editors League.
And what is it?
It's a mental health podcast where I can't afford a therapist.
A mental health podcast.
That's what it's actually under.
A comic book editors league?
I couldn't find comic books under topics because I don't know how to use Anchor. And I'd like to give a little free advertisement to Anchor, by the way. Anchor is so easy, even a moron like me. I filled out like 2 minutes worth of typing. It said, start recording. I was done, my first episode. And then I typed like a minute worth of shit. And it was out on every streaming podcast.
And if you're wondering why I'm asking him about this, everybody, it's mainly because our client is the Sweet Smell of Secession. This is Greg's first movement towards seceding from the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker.
I'm acting unilaterally.
So if for some reason something changes one day and it's just me left here covering this face over here too, it's just the guy squinting at you over my shoulder.
But Matt will have me on as a guest,
because everyone will have seceded. Well, we're hoping. Brendan says he'll be back next week, so hopefully he'll be back next week, because that'll be great. It's been sad not having him here because we've had to go back to our old ways of abusing each other.
Yeah, I miss him.
But I do want to thank our guest from earlier today. That was Joshua Christian Azali, and he chose to bolt as opposed to dealing with our client for the day, which is the Sweet Smell of Secession. Should we play our sponsor one more time, Greg? In case you didn't get
wouldn't mind.
You want to hear it again?
It was quite good.
You enjoyed it that much, did you?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. We'll do this, and then we'll wrap things up one more time. This is our sponsor, Douchebag Alert. He seemed fine at first, even though most of his Facebook photos were shirtless. The tips of his hair were frosted. His reflective sunglasses were mysterious when he talked about how he left the police academy because he was too good for them. He only referred to himself by his first name and never a pronoun. You notice he called other men chief, bro, dog, or dude. He shifted attention to his barbed wire tattoos in order to roofie your drink. When you came to, you realized you've been douchebagged. If this could happen to you or someone you know, and you're too unaware to tell a guy's a douchebag because of his large pickup truck, his collection of moisturizers, his gold chains, or his heavily gelled hair, then Douchebag Alert is the product for you. Douchebag Alert is a state-of-the-art sensor fitted within a stylish bracelet. The moment a douchebag speaks to you, the voice of Christopher Walken emanates from the bracelet saying, "This person is a douchebag. Go home and read a book." It is recommended to remove Douchebag Alert prior to family gatherings, as you might be surrounded by douchebags. To prevent product overload, please stay away from fishing derbies, monster truck rallies, and gyms. If Douchebag Alert senses you are the douchebag, your money will be refunded in the form of a Sharper Image gift card. Get Douchebag Alert new from Godco. Well, there we go.
So was it Godco?
Gonco.
Gonco.
Yeah, I was thinking of Ronco, and I think, well, it's...
Oh, yeah, I just like
Gonco.
Christopher Walken. That's the main reason I want to hear it again.
that horrible Christopher Walken.
Douchebag.
My incredibly horrible Christopher Walken impersonation.
And
it's basically me impersonating
Walken.
5 other different people who have impersonated Christopher Walken, and it's like the telephone game. I couldn't do it at all either, apparently.
No, you had a flavor of him. I've tried to do it, and it doesn't even sound.
I had the scent of Walken in my nostrils.
You did, and I could guess that you were doing Christopher Walken badly. But if I did it, you would just be like, "Who are you doing? Is that Don Rickles? Is that?"
I think mine was nearly a bad Schwarzenegger impersonation at the same time.
No, I didn't get that.
They're almost the same. Anyway, we've been the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker, so I guess we're done.
Your consultation with the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker has ended. You may pay your retainer at www.qsblaw.org. Please exit to the right of the water cooler and grab a candy from the front desk. We hope to see you again soon, but you need to leave now. I said leave. Why don't they ever listen? Get out! Get out!